One of the most famous names in the hip-hop world is now facing 3 charges in federal court. Many people have come forward in recent months to accuse Sean Diddy Combs of abuse, sex trafficking, drug possession, and more, but now the federal government is getting involved and promising to bring down the rap mogul's alleged criminal empire. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime.
A specific set of horrific crimes allegedly carried out by a husband and dozens of strangers against his wife. These protests are calling for a national reckoning on attitudes to women and the law around rape.
Hey there, Kaleidoscope Klan. How's everyone doing? It's Mariposa Ma'at, and today it is the full moon in Pisces. Yes, we had the moon eclipse last night. The moon was so beautiful. I didn't watch the eclipse, but when it was full, it's just so beautiful. So yeah, it's in Pisces, watery Pisces, bringing endings, right? Speaking of, what about these cases that we're seeing related to, of course, P. Diddy, and then you have, is it Pelicot? The Pelicot court case in France, both about sexuality, the abuse of women. I mean, P. Diddy's about the abuse of men and women, right? Sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is, a focus right now. And I love it. I love that all this is, being wrapped up, because let's just be real. The life that P. Diddy was living was the dream of all of the guys in his generation. I mean, as far as what they're pushing in hip-hop, they love to watch that, what is that, with Al Pacino? Those criminal movies. They love the idea of, shooting up everybody, and, hip-hop is a psych op. And that is a good intro to buying my book. Introducing my first published book. Oh, yeah! To be a butterfly, the caterpillar has to die. Poetic expressions of transformation from the cocoon. Yes, after 5 long years of cocooning in the Mayan jungle, I've finally emerged and earned my wings. And just like the title says, this dark night of the soul wasn't always pretty. Within the 144 pages of this epic work, you will find 30 passionate poems that are sure to be thought-provoking, stimulating, and even triggering at times. Welcome to my world. Buy your copy now on Kindle. I actually have a poem entitled Hip Hop is a Psych Op. So yes, if you don't know, I am a published author. I have a book on Kindle entitled To Be a Butterfly, the Caterpillar Has to Die. And it's so true. Transformation, baby. So anyway, my book is 30 poems that I wrote while being in isolation in my cocoon since I left America and came to Mexico. And one of my poems is entitled Hip Hop is a Psych Op. And it is. Okay? People need to pay attention to the words and do not engage if it's some foolery. I mean, it makes no sense to be singing about doing drugs and killing people and shit like that. Like, who does that? It's a psych op, you guys. That's why nobody else in the world is doing it but black people in America. Okay? They're not allowed to do it in other countries because people care about their populations. They don't want their children. to be hypnotized by that, right? But in America, they like it. They like to see, people acting the lowest possible so they can point the finger and justify the racism, right? No mas, okay? All of that BS, and I'm from the 80s and the 90s, you know what I'm saying? The 90s. As far as when I was in college, it was in the 90s. I was in high school in the 80s. And, oh yeah, I remember when Luke came out, when I was like elementary school. Not elementary, like maybe 6th grade, junior high, 7th grade maybe. And, hey, we want some. I couldn't believe that they were playing that out loud. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. Jerry Springer started, and like there were just no holds barred, But for those young people who don't know, there was a black woman who was in Congress. Was she in Congress? She spoke to Congress. Maybe she's a representative. I have to look her up. But Dolores C. Tucker. There was a woman who tried to go to the government to say that we shouldn't allow them to, put this kind of filth on the radio and out there, and they overruled it. I guess they just put the parental advisory thing, but she was trying to stop it. And I was in junior high at that time. I remember them really attacking her.
I was in college.
Really attacking her, people. And I remember Snoop specifically, but just overall, the hood just rising up like, oh, she's against black people. But no, she was trying to protect the minds. She was trying to help you guys. She had a foundation. So thank you, C. Dolores Tucker. Let's all remember her name, because she passed away. A black woman was trying to speak sense. Basic sense, mind you. They knew. All of this stuff is set up to keep the politics crazy. You know what I'm saying? But they know it's not right. So yeah, I went to Howard University when P. Diddy was there. And I wasn't aware of him because I wasn't into that clique like that. I knew about the New York parties. I went to New York parties, but I didn't know who he was. But I've been very disappointed overall, the fact that I went to Howard and I see the people that I went to school with. I know a few of them who are working for him. Who knows what they've been into, you know what I'm saying? And then Kamala Harris went to Howard. And the freak-offs were actually, I'm sure, developed from the concept of Freaknik, right? When Freaknik was very hot when I was at Howard. I never went to Freaknik either. So let me just say that I liked to be social. I liked to have a boyfriend. But besides that, okay, I never went to Freaknik. I never did like the freaky things. At least I have been in the past. Who knows what I'm gonna do in the future, okay? But that I'm not into that. I really like intimacy with one man. Call me crazy or old-fashioned, but that's what I like, the idea of. Women who are beautiful, I like to have them as friends. I don't want to touch on their bodies. Yeah, I like friendship with women. I don't want to, I have a cat. So I get, my cuddles with my kitty. And, I would give I would give people hugs, but no. As far as rubbing my body or me rubbing my friend's body, no. I've never done that. And, you know, it's so crazy that I feel like I have to say that, but it's like people are so open to so much. I feel like I'm less exposed than my children, because my children are with my ex and he's freaky, so, you know, I know that they've seen things I've never seen, because he has no boundaries on top of that. But he wasn't my focus. But naturally, when I think of P. Diddy, I think of his down low freaky ass. So anyway, moving on. So P. Diddy is a lesson for all of us. But the thing is that, yeah, speaking out of is all good, but we need to bring down the people who created these things. That's when I'll be happy about it, because this is just old news at this point. Like, we know the abuse has been going on. It's been public. They're not even bringing up the whole Biggie and, you know, Tupac and, you know, all the death of his wife, all of those things. God forbid they bring those things up, right? So yeah, let's just not glorify criminals anymore. Like, no one should. And, you know, black people need to, like, people who call themselves black people, you need to up the standards, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not a good look. I've divorced myself from all of that. I'm not in that category. I'm a world citizen. Leave me out of that shit. Yeah, so speaking of world citizenry, we should also make note that right now there's this case, the Pelicot case, where I'll show a clip, but there's a man who had 72 people come and rape his wife as she was drugged over a decade.
A specific set of horrific crimes allegedly carried out by a husband and dozens of strangers against his wife. These protests are calling for a national reckoning on attitudes to women and the law around rape.
So I don't know. I mean, she's testifying, so I guess people will get all the details. And she's testifying showing her face. She said that she's testifying showing her face, so to take the shame away from the victim, right? It's like, wow, 10 years she was raped, 72 men. That's a hard road to hoe. So anyway, these are white people, you know what I mean? And what everybody's shocked about is that these are like normal, hardworking men, like not street people or anything like that, or party or something like that. They're normal men, and there are a lot of them. So it's kind of bringing out like an underground of the things that are going on, because he got all of the Johns, is that what you call them? All the customers. These white moths have been flying around all day, all over the city, and I've never noticed them before. I think it's a good sign. He had gotten them all online, so that just shows you what's going on normally on the dark web. You know what I'm saying? You see these white moths. They're beautiful. You see the little white moths? I don't know if you can see them. Yeah, they look like butterflies. Fun. Anyway, so isn't that interesting? All of this sexual trafficking, racketeering coming up and being dismantled. And it's not a coincidence that it's while Pluto's on the 29th degree of Capricorn, because that's what is supposed to be happening, is bringing down the old structures whose time are up. That's what's happening right now. So all you old people who don't want to give up power and who are evil, just, your time is up, okay? it's time for the shift. So just make it easy on yourself. So yeah, it's going down in America and in France as far as that's concerned. And it makes sense. All this exposure during the full moon. The full moon brings light to issues, exposes secrets. So I'm very excited about it. But let us not stop there. Let us not stop there. How about the people above P. Diddy? How about that? We already know who they are. Is anything going to happen to them? No. And how many people have they killed in the music industry? Like, we all know that people are getting killed in the music industry all the time. And we already knew about how people get sacrificed and all this. I mean, a lot of people didn't believe it, but anyway, in the music industry and the actors. So what are we going to do about that? Are we going to allow Satan to be in control of all of our arts? We cannot. We cannot allow it anymore, right? And can we allow these clowns to run the country or the world any longer? I say no. I say no, sorry, bub. I don't understand how people are like, how long does this charade have to keep going? When can we start on the new? Because Trump and Kamala are just drama. These are not leaders. These are followers of some crazy plan of distraction while the real leaders are off doing something else secretly. So we have to wake up and we have to do things differently. This voting thing is stupid because it's the electoral vote that matters. So it's like they argue over the votes like it matters. It doesn't matter. The electoral college is what matters. Do people know that? I don't understand. So, oops. Sorry. Put my hand in the way. So yeah, you guys. I vote no confidence. I've said this a few times, but I vote no confidence for the election. Okay? I think we need a check on the ballot that says no confidence in anything. And that means that we have to obliterate what's going on. And I would say that if you were in politics before, you're not allowed to be in the new government at all. We have to have people who are not politicians. Because politicians, by design, are tricksters. They make deals for money and undermine what people want. So we don't want politicians. We want representatives of the people. Like, we want activists. We need to get active. Oops. So yes, these are the things that I have been submersed in. I've actually been doing a lot of trauma work. I've been releasing trauma. That's what I've been focused on. For those of you who don't know, before I came to Mexico, I had experienced a lot of trauma, including parental alienation, meaning that my children were held from me from my ex. Now they're old enough where they can make their own decisions legally, even though they're hypnotized. But on top of that, my parents are not well. They're not well at all, mentally, spiritually. So I have to work to stay grounded because I have a lot of people who are focused on me in a negative way. Ah, look, one of the white moths. I love those. There's another one. So I've been focused on doing physical exercise. Like there's something called TRE exercises, the trauma release exercises. And so I started on that. And so far I feel that it's gonna be very powerful. And I know I need to do some breathing exercises. I do them sometimes, but I need to be more disciplined overall. Yes. So anyway, I think I've rambled on enough. It's time for us to rethink how we relate to one another sexually, and not just sexually, but just we have to embrace each other with a spirit of love, not of a predator to prey, which is the narcissistic foundation of America. America is a narcissistic nation. Be very clear that there's nothing more narcissistic than slavery. There's nothing more narcissistic than that. For you to be able to actually hold a human being, you see that they're sad and they don't have what they need, and you work them to the bone. And then, I mean, what America has done, I mean, I've been studying it recently too. So that's why I'm doing a lot of trauma release, because it's hard. It's a hard lesson to really know how demonic this world is, you know? At first. And then you work through it. And then you become more comfortable with the demons. Well, you just aren't afraid of them anymore. You have to accept your dark side. Be like, blah! To the demon, right? So anyway, until next time, Kaleidoscope Klan, continue to embody the sacred transformation. This is Mariposa. Peace.